An investigation continues into a possible deadly bear attack in Newton County. Officials are searching for the bear that they say may have killed a camper at the Sam's Throne Park campground. Investigators say they were called to check on a camper who hadn't been in touch with his family for several days. When they arrived, they found him dead about 60 feet from his campsite. Tonight, Arkansas Game and Fish tells us the medical examiner determined the cause of death was the result of an animal mauling. While signs point to a bear, including photos the man had sent his family while camping, officials say they won't know for certain until DNA testing confirms it.
So unusual to have bear attacks like this, especially fatal ones. And we want to find if there's something wrong with the bear, if it's got some disease, if it's got something wrong with its brain, something that would make it do this, because it's just so unusual. I've worked for Game and Fish for 25 years and we've never had anything like this.
Game and Fish says it'll take about a week to get the DNA test results. The victim's name has not been released at this time. New at 10, a man from Mulberry was sentenced for sexually assaulting a child. Anthony Coy-Kendall pleaded guilty to 5 counts less than a month before he was scheduled to go to trial. He was sentenced to 30 years in state prison. In Pulaski County, a former employee of a school in the U of A system and 2 other people have been arrested accused of kidnapping an 18-year-old at gunpoint and forcing him to play Russian roulette. Now, Robert William Ellard and brothers Charles and Jackson Holman were arrested by Sherwood police this week. Ellard was the director of financial aid at the U of A Pulaski Technical College. The school tells 5 News he's no longer employed there. You can read more about this investigation on our website, 5newsonline.com. Day 3 of the federal government shutdown and no vote to end it is expected until next week. The White House says layoffs of some federal workers will be needed. Today, the Senate failed to move forward with a short-term spending bill to fund the government until mid-November. Republicans picked up 3 votes, but still fell short of the 60 needed to advance the legislation. Most Democrats holding out for an extension of Affordable Care Act subsidies and a rollback of cuts to Medicaid. The Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says the GOP should come to the table for negotiations.
Rather than working with us to end the pain Americans are feeling because of a shutdown, Republicans have they've wasted a week, refused to talk, and exacerbated pain for America.
Following the vote, the Senate adjourned for the weekend. Speaker Mike Johnson announced this afternoon that the House will stay adjourned next week. Well, so far, Arkansas hasn't seen major impacts from the shutdown. The Department of Human Services says no programs are suspended and that Medicaid is funded for the next 3 months and SNAP benefits are continuing as usual. As for parks, the Army Corps of Engineers says they plan to keep them open as long as possible. If a closure happens, visitors will get a cancellation email and a refund. Developing today, Hamas says it accepts parts of President Trump's plan to end the war in Gaza, including giving up power and releasing hostages. But other parts, it says, need more consultation. As Erica Brown reports, the statement came just hours after President Trump warned Hamas to agree by Sunday evening, or in his words, all hell would break out.
In a statement, Hamas said it was willing to release all of the remaining hostages, living and dead, and hand over power to an independent Palestinian body. But the statement did not say if Hamas agrees to the terms laid out in President Trump's plan that would bar it from controlling Gaza. Hamas also made no mention of disarmament in their statement, a key Israeli demand included in Trump's proposal. President Trump issued a video statement Friday night.
This is a big day. We'll see how it all turns out. We have to get the final word down in concrete.
He also took to Truth Social, writing in part, quote, based on the statement just issued by Hamas, I believe they are ready for a lasting peace. Israel must immediately stop the bombing of Gaza so that we can get the hostages out safely and quickly.
I look forward to having the hostages come home to their parents and having some of the hostages, unfortunately, you know the condition they're in, come home likewise to their parents because their parents wanted them just as much as though that young man or young woman were alive.
Tuesday will mark 2 years since Hamas attacked southern Israel on October 7, 2023, killing more than 1,000 people and taking hundreds hostage. Israel's offensive has killed more than 66,000 Palestinians, according to Gaza's Hamas-run health ministry. Erica Brown, CBS News, Washington.
The office of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu issued a statement saying in part, quote, "In light of Hamas's response, Israel's preparing to immediately implement the first phase of Trump's plan for the immediate release of all hostages." Well, disgraced hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs was sentenced to 50 months in prison today in a Manhattan federal courthouse. He was convicted of 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution by a jury in July. He addressed the court and begged the judge for mercy, calling his actions disgusting, shameful, and sick.
He argued today, the defense, that he is a different man today, now that he's no longer on drugs. That may be true, but he still has to pay the consequences of what he did when he was addicted.
Combs has been in jail since his July verdict after the judge twice denied him bail. He was also fined $500,000. In continuing coverage, we told you last night the state of Oklahoma appointed a new state superintendent to fill the seat left behind by Ryan Walters. Well, the governor also announced a new team that will work alongside the new superintendent. It's a team of 7 people called the Education Turnaround Team. They'll work together with newly appointed Lyndall Fields to get the state education department back on track. Governor Stitt says the team will be tasked with rebuilding the agency and returning focus to the mission of serving Oklahoma students.
Putting their careers, their businesses, and even parts of their lives on hold to serve the state in such a critical moment.
The state also announced a new Secretary of Education, which is Dan Hamlin. And students at Southwest Junior High can look forward to some campus improvements come Monday. The school unveiled its massive upgrades at a ribbon-cutting ceremony today. The new facility is over 140,000 square feet, cost $46.7 million to build. It now has 55 total classrooms. 5 Springdale elementary schools feed into the junior high. The next phase of the Springdale District's 10-year plan is to rebuild Westwood. Construction is expected to start in November.